the most controversial things I would let my boyfriend do. If you disagree with any of these, you're probably most likely insecure. Starting off with number one, if he decorates my bed for Valentine's Day or my birthday or for an anniversary, I personally feel like you guys are really trying to make it sexual when it's not. I got my bed decorated for years. Even when I was in high school, my friends would decorate it for college. I would even decorate my significant other's bed when it came to an anniversary or a birthday. The most funny thing about it though is when I do get my bed decorated, I don't usually lay in it because I love the setup of how it looks. I just don't think it's bad if your significant other, the person that you're dating, decorates your bed. I think you guys are just trying to sexualize. It's different if you're dating somebody and your partner always asks for it, but if your partner really does it and he's just trying to do something genuine for you, I would just say for you to appreciate it. Next one is number two, and that is just being genuinely nice to a girl. Somebody who absolutely loves to have a boyfriend and he tries to make an effort to talk to my girlfriends and spend time with my girlfriends, with me there of course. If I had a boyfriend and we were out, then I want him to be talking to my friends and not just being attached to me to the hip. If I'm out with my friends and he's out with his friends, and I really hope he just goes with his friends and just leaves me alone and I'm with my friend. First of all, I want him to spend time with his friends just as much as I'm spending time with mine. Anyways, that is something else. For example, if you're opening a door and a girl is behind you, I really hope you just open the door for her. Or you're at the gym or you're at work and a girl needs genuine help, then I really hope you help that girl. I would be embarrassed if my boyfriend didn't help a girl that actually needed help for something. I also feel like this one is definitely an insecurity issue because there is such a difference between being respectful and flirting and also being nice and flirting. I just hope with whatever happens, my boyfriend would just come to me after and tell me about it because I trust him and he should trust me. Number three is liking another girl's Instagram post. Say if it's a half naked picture, then your boyfriend should not be liking that, or if it's also like a celebrity half naked picture. It's like a girl that we went to school with and she posted like a group picture with all her friends that we also know and he likes the picture. I wouldn't be mad at him. But again, like I said, if it was a half naked picture of the girl, or if it was like a really like sexual picture of the girl, or if it was just like a solo picture of the girl just like trying to like get the guy's attention, I would definitely think it's weird that my boyfriend liked it, but he's fine with liking basically any Instagram picture. I do agree though, there is a big difference between hearting an Instagram story and just liking an Instagram post. Wouldn't want him to heart an Instagram story because I feel like that's also just a little bit more direct and it's kind of just like a secret when somebody likes their Instagram story. So totally fine with liking another girl's Instagram post. I wouldn't think twice about it. Anyways, those are the most controversial things that if I had a boyfriend, he would be allowed to do it. I'll finish my makeup now, but I love you guys so much and I'll see you later. Bye.
Shady ways people have acted once they found out that I have a little bit of a following. Okay, the first one is actually quite diabolical. A few months ago, one of my story times gotten viral and I was talking about like a friend that like just did me wrong. And one of my friends reached out to me and really wanted to know who I was talking about. So I told her like, duh, I'm not gonna like keep tea in, the fuck. Mind you, I thought this was a friend I could trust. Okay. So she texted me and she's like, oh, who's this story about? I told her, right? So after I told her who it was about, she basically resent me that same video that she already asked, who's this video about? And she literally texted me again and she was like, you'll never guess who this video is about. She was gonna chismosea to somebody else and tell somebody else who my video was about and mistakenly text me. Like, really, bitch? Like, if you're gonna chismosea and like talk about it with somebody else, at least add me into that fucking group chat. And now I'll never know who she was trying to send that to. Like, who are you trying to send that to? Needless to say, we're not friends anymore. Because, like, why are you spreading my tea around town? No, thank you. Okay, the next one, I got my hair done from this, like, kind of famous stylist, like, in my area. And she knew that I had, like, somewhat of a TikTok following. So when we were planning the appointment, we settled on a price, right? And please tell me why, as soon as I got there, she wanted to change the price. A little bit of a backstory. A few weeks before I went into her, like, salon, I basically posted a video, like, trying to encourage others to, like, do content creation. And I shared how much I made in, like, 2 months. Which honestly I regret doing. Like, you should never share how much you make online because a lot of people get jealous and like they spread that evil eye. But regardless, I sat in her chair, she did my hair, everything's cool, everything's chill. And then please tell me why she's like, oh, actually I would like to add like another $100 on top of the price. So and I was like, oh, like why is that? And then she just basically said, don't be cheap, like you make this amount of money in 2 months. Basically using what I said to promote other people to do content creation against me. Like, and then she was just like, why are you negotiating? Like, why are you trying to be cheap? When literally all I asked was, why are you like bumping it up another $100? But like every single time I would ask her like, why do you need to charge me an additional $100? She would not respond that. She would just be like, oh, because like, you know, like you make this amount of money in this amount of months. Okay, so you're charging me more because I make more money. Oh, okay. It would be reasonable if she said something like, oh, like it just took longer, it took more effort, it took more materials. But she was not saying any of that. She just kept on bringing up how much I used to make, which is actually very unprofessional. But whatever, I just paid her and now I know like I'm not going to her again. This is the finished makeup routine. I will be posting more on YouTube, so please go subscribe. The link is in the bio. As always, I love you guys so much. Bye!
Here are strict rules my parents had for me growing up that would throw most normal kids into an insane asylum. The first one being that I had screen time on my phone until I was 18 years old that shut off at 10 p.m. every night. And when I was younger, I had to plug in my phone out in the kitchen, and at one point, all my electronics had to be plugged in the kitchen. Shout out to my mom and dad. This is not a nag at them at all. I was just kind of a wild child, and obviously some of these rules needed to be put in place because of my actions. But on top of the screen time, I was never really freely allowed to have social media until I was around 18. I don't even know if all you guys know, but when I first blew up on TikTok, I wasn't even supposed to have TikTok. So essentially, I snuck it like the rebel I am. And when I first got Instagram and Snapchat, they were both on my mom's phone. They've also always had all my logins. At one point, I did actually end up having a flip phone for a month. I think like my sophomore or junior year. Everyone thought it was so funny, but that was a consequence. Next thing I always thought was interesting is that I was only really allowed to go to Christian concerts. I didn't go to my first concert until my senior year, which was a country concert. I had gone to probably like 5 or 6 Christian concerts, and I only really could listen to good music with my parents. Anytime something raunchy would turn on, they'd be like, oh my gosh, turn it off. As for boys, I was never allowed to have a boyfriend until I was 16. Obviously, I went against this rule because I was just a rebel, but they wouldn't allow me to actually have a boyfriend until I was like 16. Then when I first got my license, or when all my friends were getting their license, absolutely no one but me was allowed to drive me. My dad even threatened to have my best friend take a driving test with him to make sure that she could drive me places. This rule kind of ended up giving out a little bit, but it was very strict for my sister. She was never allowed to have a guy drive her, friends drive her, anything. So I'm glad that it loosened up because I had a boyfriend that was allowed to drive me, but no one was allowed to drive my car, leave marks on my car, like anything, which I guess is understandable because it was a nice car. And another thing is my house had cameras everywhere, like almost every hallway, every angle, and they always said it was to keep people out, but I honestly think it was to keep me in. And like I was never allowed to have boys over without supervision, which is completely understandable, but it's not like you could get away with any of that because we had cameras everywhere. And the cameras really did start going into effect after I got caught sneaking out once. For some reason, my parents are really smart. They're not like old clueless parents. They're like old smart parents that always find out about everything. So the first time I ever snuck out was to see my boyfriend at the time, and when they found out about it, they literally made me go to his house when I was about to take him on a date and then apologize to his entire family and rat him out. That was like the first time they had ever met my boyfriend at the time, and kind of same with his parents, and that prevented sleepovers for a long time, even with my best friend. I feel like all my consequences were very extreme for really what happened. Talk back, phone taken, 5 minutes past curfew, cars taken. Up until my senior year, I was never allowed to go anywhere unless my parents had like all the proper connections, like knew who was gonna be there, whose parents were gonna be there. I swear I would have to present like a 30-page PowerPoint to go anywhere, and maybe I'm being dramatic, but that's what it felt like. Until I got my car, I didn't really have to worry about this, but once I did, if there was like a party or a large get-together, I could never stay the night. I always had to drive home afterwards. Essentially, that was keeping me from drinking and doing drugs and all of that stuff, which I was never allowed to do, which I never did do in high school. And my curfew was always like 10 or 11, so people just didn't invite me anywhere because I literally would have to leave 30 minutes after everything started. As far as my grades, school, and like my sports go, those were kind of self-pressured by me. I always excelled in them because I wanted to. I feel like if I didn't, though, my parents would have had some rules about it, but honestly, I was really good about that. I turned out okay. For me, I was never a bad kid. Even the worst normal things I would do is probably better than some of the normalized things kids do nowadays. But it's like if I would do something wrong, it felt like I was being punished for doing hard drugs or something. Even my senior year, I still had to like sneak out to go to parties and stuff. Sorry, mom and dad, because they wouldn't have let me sleep over there. They definitely knew, but I think they did chill out when I turned 18. I know there's like a lot more. That's just what came to the top of my head. Like I know I could never do like sleepovers on school nights or things if I had something the next day, but I think that's just normal. So yeah, now that I say them all out loud, they don't sound like the worst things in the world, so let me know your guys' thoughts and your guys' rules if any of you guys have the same things in common. I don't know, it's just funny now. I always had the helicopter parents that were always in my business without me telling them. It was like searching through phones or media accounts to figure out what's going on. I feel like a lot of these are reasonable. I just wish I had a little bit more of a social life in high school, but I'm not mad that I didn't because honestly, they probably weren't making the best decisions anyway. And now that I'm on my own, they have completely let go of me. Like, I am completely on my own. I think they know that they raised me good, and now they've just let go. So thanks, mom and dad, for raising me right, even if it might have been a little straight and narrow. So I gotta go. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace out. Love you. Bye.
Get ready with me while I tell you why I stopped making get ready with me's. So honestly, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I used to make get ready with me's like literally every single day, which might be surprising. Like that's all I posted was get ready with me's. I didn't post any hair content, like nothing. And I've been getting comments recently like, Hallie, why'd you stop making get ready with me's? Like, Just comments like that. And guys, it makes me so sad because a lot of people didn't know that's literally what I posted. Like, my username was getreadywithme.hjg. Let me know if you remember that. Sorry, but the reason why I stopped was mainly because a lot of people wanted me to just post hair content, and obviously I do what makes you guys happy. That's kind of how it was from the start. I mean, like, the first Get Ready With Me I posted, people were like talking about my hair, so I was like, okay, let me make like some hair content. And then, as most of you guys know, my getreadywithme.hjg account like kind of went away, if you know what I mean, and I just stopped posting Get Ready With Me. Also, another reason why I kind of stopped was because people were low-key literally making fun of me for it. Like, people in real life would like talk about it all the time, and I was just like, stop, please stop. But I'm probably gonna start posting them again because it's just something that was like part of my daily routine, and now I just don't do it. But everybody should let me know if I should start posting them again, because obviously I want you guys to like the content that I post. So let me know. Bye, guys.
Get ready with me while I tell you how my own dad scammed the out of me. Throwing it back to Halloween. So I decided to throw a party, and that morning I didn't get everything, so I had to go to the store really quick. So I decided to go to the store and get like last minute supplies. So on my way to the store, I get in a car accident. Some 17-year-old just like didn't see me or whatever. Mind this, I'm like freaking out because it's like the day of my party. I need last minute stuff. And anyways, so I was like, who to call? I called my dad because my mom wasn't in town, so there was like really nobody else to call. So I was like, okay, let me just call my dad, you know, like why not, whatever. So he shows up. Mind this, before I say anything, my parents are actually not together. That's besides the point, but they're not together, okay? So anyways, my dad shows up, right? Now that my dad's at the scene, literally we find out the kid has no insurance. Turns out the vehicle isn't even his. And it's just a mess. So my dad basically talked to the kid, and basically they came about saying how the kid would pay cash and that we would handle everything that's wrong with the car on our own, as long as he gave us the cash. Okay, so this is where it actually gets sus AF. Like, I'm a little like sus. So as I'm about to take down the kid's information, because like it's my car, I have to take my own responsibility for it. My dad's like, no, wait, I'll handle it. Like, I'll get all his information, blah, blah, blah. Well, me thinking I can trust my dad, I'm like, okay, why not? Okay, so now a week goes by, right? And I'm like, my car's not fixed yet. Like, I'm like, what's going on? So I decided to text my dad, and I'm like, hey, Dad, did you, like, get the money from the kid yet? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm trying to fix my car ASAP, because it looks like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to fix it. So basically, my dad told me that the kid blocked him, that it's a fake address, that he went to the address, and nobody lives there, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Now I'm pissed at the kid, and I don't have any of his information, so I don't even know what the hell is going on. And, like, my dad's like, no, don't worry, like, I'll handle it. Girl, that's not even the end of it. Go.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you
Get ready with me while I tell you about the creep that was sitting in front of me on my plane to America. So I just recently went to America from Melbourne. Like, I went straight to LA. We didn't have a stopover. And the flight is 14 and a half hours. So you kind of like get to know the people sitting like around you. So we made friends with the lady sitting next to us. She was really nice. But it was about halfway through the flight that I started to notice the man sitting diagonally across from me. So he was in front of my mum, but I could like see him there. So it was about halfway through the flight when I started to notice this man, because I think I had already watched the entire first season of Sex and the City, and that's all they had on my flight, only the first season. So I was getting bored, and I was just like looking around for something else to do. And this man had obviously bought the Wi-Fi on the plane because he was scrolling through Twitter. So me being the kind of like snoopy person I am, I was looking at his screen just because I wanted something else to look at. So at first he was just scrolling through Twitter, just looking at like Trump updates and like Elon Musk, because this was the day that Trump had just gone into office. So he was obviously looking at all what was happening with everything going on. And then he scrolled onto this post that said, do women really love getting as much as guys love getting pussy? And he scrolled onto the comments and reposts. And he was like reading through all of the women's answers and stuff. And you know what? I understand being sometimes curious about like how the other gender thinks and stuff. So I didn't really think much of it. I was like, okay, maybe he's just curious about this certain topic. And then he went back to like the main Twitter feed and he scrolled on to the next post. And the next post was 9 things you should never do to your dick. And he went into the comments and he started reading about that. And at this point, I'm getting a little bit like icked out. I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he reading so much about dick and pussies? And then it gets worse. And he looks up this account, which seemingly at first just looks like a normal photography account. Like, it's just some guy's photography page. I was very wrong though. The photography page was actually, it was this one artist and he photographed women naked. Okay, you know what? That's a form of art, like, whatever. Not a big issue to me. But this guy was obviously using these photos in a way they were not intended. Because he was scrolling onto each individual photo, clicking on it, and zooming in on these women. Like, it might be a woman in a field, and she's like a centimeter big in the picture. He was zooming in and looking at her. And I literally clocked straight away. I was like, oh, okay, this is really weird. And he was probably doing this for a good, like, maybe 10 minutes. And my mum had just woken up from a nap. And I said to mum, like, okay, like, try and have a look at what he's doing. Like, I was whispering it. I wasn't fucking being loud. And mum looks over and she's like, what the fuck? Because he's literally zooming in on every single photo of these women, analysing it, looking at, like, certain parts of her. And I'm like, what's happening? And so mum says, like, quite loudly, like, what the fuck, that's weird. And he starts going like this. And he's looking at my reflection, looking at his phone, like, through his phone. And he starts, like, going like that. And I, like, look away. I'm like, oh, I'm not looking. And he immediately shuts down his phone. And, like, I think he started going on the movies thing. And from that moment forward, anytime this man would open his phone, me and him would make intense eye contact through the reflection. And look, I might be extremely wrong about what his intentions were. It's just, sue me. It's what it looked like. Anyways, let me know if you've ever had any weird encounters on airplanes.
Breaking news. The future is here, and it looks bright.
Ready with me while I tell you some stories about my childhood. Okay, so back in like maybe 5th grade, we were using a trap phone to like use Snapchat. It was my sister's old phone, and so we were like, if you give us the trap phone, then we'll tell you the screen time password. And a few days later, she ends up snitching on me and my older sister to my parents. All of us, but mainly just me and my older sister, got grounded from, not even joking, like 2 months. Couldn't watch TV, couldn't have our phones, no iPads, no computer. My dad, when we were little, if we didn't listen, he would literally grab the hairs right here. I literally don't even have them anymore, but he would grab the hairs right here and drag us if we didn't listen or do something that he told us to do. One time my sister slammed my door. It wasn't even me. My sister slammed my door, and 10 minutes later, my mom comes up and she just takes my door off completely. So I didn't have a door for like a month. When I was learning to swim, I was like 3 or 4, and my grandpa would literally like let me drown before he like picked me up and carried me out the water. I don't really know if this is normal, but I would eat dinner with my priest. Like, we would have him over for dinner. Like, I don't know, but I would just remember my parents lecturing me and being like, you better be on your best behavior. Or when we were playing outside in the neighborhood, my dad, if he wanted us to come back to the house, he would just whistle and we would know it's him and we would just go running back to the house. And if we didn't, if he had to whistle twice, we'd probably get... Back in the day, like elementary school, I didn't know that the words chichis, mocos, and chonies were not English, and my parents just never wanted to tell me that, I guess. And I would go to school and I would say these words, and like people would like look at me weird. I'd be like, what? Like, your chonies are showing. And they'd be like, chonies? This one's hilarious. My abuelita and abuelito's favorite holiday was Easter, because we would all go over to their house and like run around and find Easter eggs. So when they passed, we would go to their cemetery, and it was their favorite holiday, so we would go do an Easter egg hunt at the cemetery. And I would tell my friends this. They'd be like, you went to the cemetery and did an Easter egg hunt? At the dinner table, if we weren't behaving, like if we were just even simply messing with our food or weren't using our table manners at all, we would be asked to leave the dinner table and we wouldn't eat. I just remember that happening to me because, I don't know, I just would goof off a lot. Okay, that is all for my Get Ready With Me. Thank you guys for watching, and maybe I'll do more videos like this.